Okay, so have you ever, like, gotten that feeling where you know a movie's, like, totally iconic,
Yeah.
but you haven't seen it in forever?
Yeah, totally.
That's us today.
Uh-huh.
We are diving into The Craft
Yes.
from 1996. Get ready for witchcraft, high school drama, and, oh boy,
Oh, yeah.
some seriously interesting fashion choices.
There are some real gems in there. But, beneath those questionable fashion choices are some surprisingly deep themes. The Craft isn't just about, like, casting spells and stuff. It's about power,
Oh, for sure.
identity, and the choices we make when we think, nobody's watching.
Ooh, I like that.
So buckle up, because we're going deep on this one.
I am so ready. So the movie basically starts off with Sarah,
Right.
who's a teenager with, like a kind of dark past.
Yeah.
And she's moving to a new town. Classic high school setup, right?
Totally, except
Yeah.
she doesn't just end up at, like, a regular high school. She stumbles into a coven of, wannabe witches.
Oh, yeah. It wouldn't be The Craft without that, right?
Yeah. Exactly. And we're not talking about, like, your stereotypical witches here. We've got Nancy, who's the ringleader,
Right.
with a very troubled home life.
Yeah.
Bonnie, who's, like, hiding behind these literal scars.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And Rochelle, who's facing, racism every single day. This isn't your grandma's coven. These girls are dealing with, like, real issues.
Yeah. And I think that's what makes it so interesting. Is like they're not just dabbling in magic for fun. It's like this source of power for them.
Oh, absolutely. And it's that power that really drives the whole film, right? They find power in their witchcraft, and this is where it gets interesting, their spells have consequences.
Oh, huge consequences.
Way bigger than they expect. Like,
Yeah.
Bonnie's desire for beauty, taken way too far. Rochelle wants respect, but it ends up manifesting as revenge. The movie does not shy away from showing us the dark side of magic, even when it's used for, seemingly good reasons.
And then there's Nancy.
Oh, Nancy.
Talk about power going to your head.
Right? She is like a cautionary tale of the film. 100%. She starts small. She's like manipulating little things, but then her stepdad dies.
Right.
They get the insurance payout. And suddenly she thinks she's untouchable.
Yeah, it escalates quickly.
Oh, it totally does. But what's so interesting about Nancy is that you kind of see the pain and the insecurity that's driving this need for control.
Right, right. She's a victim, too.
Exactly. She's a victim of abuse herself. So her desire for power, it's totally understandable, even as it becomes destructive.
Totally. And that all leads us to, I think, one of the most interesting parts of the movie, the climax. Sarah, like, she realizes it's gone way too far, and she's the one who has to stop Nancy.
Right.
But, of course, Nancy's not going down, like, without a fight.
No way.
This is high-stakes magic we're talking about.
And this is where The Craft really, I think, digs deep. Because Sarah, she has to tap into her own power, not just, like, the coven's power. It's
Right.
like a battle for her soul, as much as it is for control of, like, their magic,
That's such a good point. It's like, is she going to give in to this darkness, or is she going to find another way?
Right. You see her grappling with that
Totally.
temptation.
Yeah.
But ultimately, she chooses a different path.
But the ending, though,
Yeah,
let's just say it's not your typical Hollywood, happy ending.
not at all.
It's so much better.
It's more realistic in a way, like the things they've done. Those scars remain. Bonnie and Rochelle, they lose their powers.
Right.
Nancy's locked away.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Sarah's changed.
And that final scene
Oh my God.
with the lightning strike,
Yes.
chills.
Every time.
Every time. She's powerful,
Yes.
but is she in control?
Yes.
And that, my friends, is the question that the movie leaves us with. It's like they really make you think about the consequences of messing with magic.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And what I think is really cool is, like, the movie doesn't just say magic is good or magic is evil. It's like way more nuanced than that.
Right.
It's about intention, the choices these girls make, and how, those choices actually shape their lives.
Oh, absolutely. Like,
Yeah.
it's their choices that have consequences, not just the magic itself. What do you think about that?
Oh, I totally agree. And I think it's really interesting how they portray witches,
Yeah.
especially like young witches, because they're not fairy tale characters at all.
Right.
They're real people, with real problems, and they're outsiders, each of them, seeking, like, belonging, agency in a world that just kind of ignores them.
It's true. They're, like, totally dismissed by everyone else.
Exactly. And so magic becomes this way for them to, like, reclaim their power.
Oh, yeah. To fight back.
But as we see, power can be very, very easily corrupted.
100%. And that's what makes it so compelling, right?
Yeah.
Because you're like rooting for them.
Yeah.
Even when they're making these like kind of messed up choices.
Yeah, totally. You really feel for these characters, even when they're, messing up.
Exactly, because they feel so real. It's like you could see yourself in their shoes. Maybe not like the whole witchcraft thing,
Wow.
but like the wanting to belong, the wanting to have power.
Totally. And the relationships, too. It's like that's a huge part of it, this female empowerment and friendship. They find strength in their connection to each other, right? And that shared, like, feeling of being different, and that bonds them.
Yeah, but then
then
it also kind of tears them apart.
It does, because as their powers grow, those relationships, they become so much more complicated.
Right. And you can see how, like, the things that brought them together at the beginning,
Yeah.
their vulnerabilities, their desire for acceptance, those things actually become, like, the reason for their downfall.
It's true. It's like this reminder that even, like, the strongest bonds can be tested.
Especially by power.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, speaking of power, Fairuza Balk as Nancy.
Oh, my God.
She is amazing. Iconic. She just embodies that whole, like, seductive but dangerous vibe
Oh, absolutely.
of someone who's, like, completely consumed by power.
Phenomenal performance.
Yeah.
Like, phenomenal.
It's so good. And, I think it's interesting because, like, she's terrifying. But you also, like, kind of feel for her.
You do. You really do. And that's what's so brilliant about her performance. She brings this rawness, this vulnerability, even as she's, like, going full-on villain.
Yes. She's not just, like, a one-dimensional bad guy.
No. There's so much more going on there.
You can see the pain.
It's true.
And it makes her such a more compelling villain.
Absolutely. And, it's not just her. The whole cast is amazing.
Oh, yeah. They're all so good.
Robin Tunney as Sarah.
Yes.
Fantastic. Like, she is the moral compass of this whole thing.
She's the one you're, like, really rooting for.
Yes. And you see her wrestling with her conscience the entire time.
Yes. Trying to figure out how to fit in with this coven.
Right.
But also stay true to herself.
It's a tough spot to be in. And, we got to talk about Neve Campbell, because this is, like, such a different side of her.
I know. I was going to say it's so different from Scream.
Totally. But she's amazing. And Rochelle's storyline with Rachel True.
Yes.
So good. Like, it just adds this whole other layer to the movie.
Because it's dealing with real-world issues.
Real-world issues like racism, prejudice. And it's like, even within this group of, quote-unquote outsiders, it's still there.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't shy away from those difficult conversations.
It makes it so much more than, just a teen horror movie.
Oh, absolutely. It's so much deeper than that. And I think that's why it's still so relevant today. Like, it's been, what, like almost 30 years?
It's crazy, right?
It's crazy, but it still holds up.
It totally does. The themes, the characters.
And the aesthetic.
Oh, yes.
It's so visually striking.
That, like, dark, moody lighting, the sets, the costumes.
The soundtrack. Don't even get me started on the soundtrack.
Oh, yeah, the soundtrack. Pure 90s nostalgia.
Yes.
Every single song is like a perfect time capsule.
We'll have to get into that a little bit later, but first, we have to talk about that ending.
Oh, the ending.
What are your thoughts on that final scene with Sarah and the, like, lightning storm?
Yeah.
Because I have chills just thinking about it.
It's brilliant. It's, like, empowering, but also kind of unsettling.
Yeah.
Totally. Like, she's stepping into her power, but there are going to be consequences.
Right. Like, she could go either way.
Exactly. And the film doesn't, like, shy away from that.
No, it doesn't give you all the answers, which I love.
Me too. It leaves you thinking.
For sure. Not your typical Hollywood ending, but it's so much better for it.
Absolutely. It's what makes it so memorable. You're left wanting more.
It totally adds to, like, the whole vibe of the movie.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It gets under your skin.
It's so evocative of that time, but also it works so well with the story. Like, you couldn't have just any music.
Right.
It's like they really knew.
They understood the assignment.
They understood the assignment with that soundtrack. Okay, so we've talked about the themes, the characters, the soundtrack, like that crazy ending.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, what do you think it is about this movie that makes it such a cult classic?
That's a great question.
Why does it still resonate, even after all these years?
I think it's because, like, on the surface, it's just so entertaining. It's got, like, magic, high school drama, like, all the ingredients for a good time. But then underneath that, it's dealing with these, like, really universal themes, like, feeling like an outsider, wanting to belong.
Totally.
the allure of power, but also the dangers of it.
And like female friendship, like the complexities of that too.
Oh, for sure. And I think that really resonates with people, even today.
Yeah.
You know, like it's still so relevant.
Absolutely. It's like you watch it, and even if you weren't like a teenage girl in the 90s,
Right.
you can still connect to that feeling of, wanting to find your people and like own your power.
And like you said, it's like, it's okay to be different.
Yes.
It's okay to, embrace what makes you unique, even if it makes other people uncomfortable.
It's like a celebration of individuality in a way.
Yes, exactly. Oh, man, I love this movie.
Me too.
So, okay, if someone's out there and they haven't seen The Craft,
Yeah.
what would you say to them to, like, convince them?
I would say, first of all, like, get ready for a wild ride.
Yeah.
Because this movie, it's got a little bit of everything. You've got your magic, you've got your drama, you've got your, like, really intense moments, but it's also, like, really funny at times. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but it also, like, will make you think,
It's a really great blend.
It's a really great blend. And I think, like, if you're a fan of, horror or coming-of-age stories, anything like that, this movie kind of checks all those boxes.
Totally. So there you have it, The Craft.
The Craft.
A true cult classic. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me on this, like, deep dive back into, Northgate High and the world of The Craft.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Such a fun movie to talk about.
And to everyone listening, let us know, like, what do you think about The Craft? Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Did you love it? Did you hate it? Like, all the thoughts. And don't forget to subscribe.
Yes.
Hit that bell icon.
Yes.
For more deep dives into your favorite films. We'll see you next time.